Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the channel. If you came here from the short video, welcome. If you came here just by searching, welcome. I'm gonna try to do the best I can on take 58,000 of this video to get as much information as I can in the shortest time as possible. So stick with me. If you really need this cabinet to work better, I'm gonna give you what you need, okay? And if you wait till the very end, I got a little bonus for you. Trust me, it's worth it. Stick with me. Okay, now this is a part that I just blasted. All right, it's a little bit rough. It's a little bit of a matte finish, but trust me, it's much cleaner than what it started off looking like. And there's some part of it there that I brushed a little bit, all right, with the wire wheel, and it gives it a nice little luster after you brush it. Now, if you got critical areas like this area here, there is such a thing called particle embedment when you're blasting. So you're gonna wanna brush those areas and rinse this part thoroughly. Any threads, you're gonna wanna protect them by either adding hardware, rubber plugs, or something, all right? Otherwise, you're gonna be using board brushes to clean out the holes, okay? So that's a very good piece of advice. Some of you know how to sandblast already. I'm not gonna go into too much about how to sandblast, but how to upgrade the cabinet, like I said, this is what the video is about. Okay, very first thing is to upgrade this cabinet to work better. I hate to say it. I know some of you are gonna go, man, it's not what I wanted to hear. You got to upgrade the air system. Now, I have two cheap compressors here that are really small, but for what I'm doing here, these things work fantastic. Sorry about that. Those are the automatic bleeders that I've added. That was one of them, so you're probably going to hear the other one go off at some time soon, all right? But make sure you got a good, healthy supply of air. These are 1.8 horsepower running and 26 gallons, 4.5 SCFM at 90 PSI. So not much, okay? They're oil free. I got my mini split air system here blowing cool air across them, and that has kept them lasting, all right? So, and I've worked the heck out of these things. So all I did was daisy chain them together with a couple fittings right at the switch, okay? As you can see, be very careful when doing something like this, because if I was to disconnect that line there, this end would just go whipping around and it can whip you in the face pretty bad. So just be careful. Ask me how I know. I'll tell you in the comments. So what I did was I added a small water separator. Some people add like a chiller coil. See that? We can keep moisture coming out of it right there. All right, before it goes down this line, which is going to our cabinet. All right. So what we did is the auto separators at the bottom down here. These came from Amazon. It did not come with these fittings. These are compression to NPT. This one is male and this one is female. And then I added the line so that I could connect everything to the compressor, and I could route these to outside if I wanted to as well. I used a little go-kart muffler, and that kind of cuts the ear-piercing nature of the sound down quite a bit. But I'm gonna put them outside in a shed eventually. So this is just a temporary setup. So definitely add these auto bleeders, but I'm gonna get two more, and here's where I'm gonna put them on this separator. But what I'm gonna do is run a copper piece of pipe down, coiled up into a bucket of water down here somewhere, or in the shed when I'm done with this thing. There's the other bleeder. Sorry about that. If you're gonna blast, get ready for noise. It's gonna get noisy, especially with all the equipment inside. So anyway, so we're gonna add a bleeder to each compressor, right? And then we're gonna add one here on this water separator, which will be after that copper coil that I'm gonna add. So we're gonna run the air down into the bucket of water in the copper coil, and then up out and into this, and then onto the blast cabinet. All right, or if you got a whole bunch of money and you're sponsored and you're best friends with the Snap-on guy and you're $100,000 in debt up to your eyeballs, then you can get the latest and greatest compressor and chiller setup. Good for you, good for you. But for the guys that are doing this from home and trying to do this cheap and, or inexpensive and make it work, this stuff will work for you, okay? Now, let's get into some improvements. Air system, clean, well-supplied air that is not moist is a must, okay? We route along here, we go into this foot pedal, all right? This foot pedal was purchased on Amazon. Again, did not come with the fittings. We added that. This is the line in, this is the line out. When you let off the pedal, it exhausts air right there, all right? Now, when we come up out of there, we go around to the back, and we are going into a regulator and separator. We regulate down to about 40 psi, and that happens when I step on the pedal. Then this thing is pressurized, okay? And everything's got quick disconnects, so I can roll up my pedal, throw it here, throw my little catch sifting bucket up here as well. When I'm done, disconnect this. Makes everything nice and compact, and I can just roll it away. That dolly also came from Harbor Freight. It's your standard size moving dolly. I added a piece of plywood so I can put the bucket there when I need to drain the media. All right. So that's the air supply system, okay? You need to get rid of the gun. That's the next thing. The gun that I have in there is pretty pricey. You can see it's a nice one, okay? I'm gonna tell you about that when we get to the end of the video. But you know what? Your media can clump up. If you have moisture, it can clump up really bad and clog your gun. You could take the rubber thumb that's on here through your glove and cover the tip of that gun, and then just hit your pedal a couple times. So you cover the tip and you hit that pedal a couple times, and it'll push air back through that line, and it will clear any clogs that you may have down in your media. You can see the media likes to build up along the sides, so we've added that sheet metal right there to help prevent it all falling out when we open the door. That helped out a lot, but we still do get some media coming out. The other thing we're gonna do is we have like a vibratory tumbler that's kind of junk. We may add it to the bottom of this thing to help it kind of vibrate and bring that media back down to the middle. Every so often, we just have to lean the cabinet this way and shake it, and lean it that way and shake it to bring it back down to the middle. Or if you want to modify this thing, you can make the ramp much steeper before you do anything else to it. If you want to really get into modifying the cabinet, if you're like good with sheet metal and stuff like that, that'd be a good idea, as I would suggest. But if you can't, some sort of vibration would be cool, or just get a floor jack, I guess. I mean, whatever you want to do. But we added these wooden legs because originally this thing was meant to be on top of a bench. This is the bench top model, as it says right there, bench top, okay? And we're only running 40 PSI so that we don't crush our glass bead on impact, all right? We want it to last. As you crush it, it just gets vacuumed out, okay? Now, before we move on from the air supply system, we got this little valve here. And like I said, when I step on this, we pressurize that separator. This little valve allows the moisture to come out from the bottom of that separator. This is where we're gonna add another bleeder valve. Okay, pedal, clean, dry air, bleeder valve, we got the separator, we're running 40 PSI, I showed you the gun. All right, in that gun, they have an air jet. This one here. When I was running one compressor, I was using this one, it's a smaller one. I went up to the next size up, which is like a 7.5 horsepower. They're selectable by horsepower you're running. So even though both my compressors together don't equal 7.5, they're 26 gallons each. So I figured, what the heck, let me try it. And man, it made a big difference going up in size to the jet. Now, the guy that I got this from did tell, he tells everyone basically try tuning the gun by changing these jets. All right, you'll never know if it's gonna work if you don't try it. So it's not cheap, but it's worth it. All right, and also buy some of these extra nozzles when you buy your gun from him. All right, so I'll tell you more about that gun in a little bit, but definitely tune it to your air supply. You will thank me for sure in the comments later. Okay, now I would like to bring my flashlight. Let me get that. Okay, and I'm gonna show you guys underneath the cabinet now. Okay, something that's really important is there's some gaps, and don't silicone inside your cabinet. That would be a bad idea. All right, because it's gonna clump up and end up in your blast media, okay? I'm using a glass bead from Harbor Freight. If I wanna do heavy stuff, I use the aluminum oxide. You could see we've got this metering valve here. This was a very good addition because if you see that small valve right there, we can adjust on that to fluidize the media differently through the output hose, which is the big one over here to the right. Sorry about the bad focus. It's focusing on my hairy forearms, but right there, that's where the media comes out. So you see the shape of it. It's like a venturi, like a carburetor, okay? I wish I could tell you where I got this metering valve. It's the same guy that does the parts washer, Harbor Freight parts washer upgrades, which I'm gonna do another video on that one here shortly. So like and subscribe, comment. If you guys think there's anything I could do better in these videos, don't be shy. Maybe turn off the compressor bleeders next time. But I want to show you guys this thing in action here shortly. So stick with me, okay? Don't give up. We're at the 10-minute mark. So we've got the good gun. We've got the metering valve with the bleed, so we can fluidize the media through here well. We've got the drain, okay? We're getting our clean, moisture-free air. And we've got this little plywood we've added so that we can put the bucket on it, all right? We can disconnect the lines from the pedal, and we can just roll this thing away very easily, okay? Now, it's not a sandblasting. It's not supposed to be a sandblasting cabinet. It's a blast cabinet, okay? Or media blasting, okay? Do not use sand as blasting media, okay? It can poison you. It's an inhalation hazard. Observe your PPE, okay? Very, very important, all right? You can lose your hearing slowly. You might not even realize it, and you can create an inhalation hazard. So let's move on to the next topic here. You can see that Tupperware, it's really ghetto rigged. Go ahead and say anything you want in the comments. It really doesn't matter because it works. I've made so much money using this cabinet, all right? We deflect some air using that Tupperware along the face of this glass. So as the air comes in, it leaves through the back, through this hose, which I'll show you right now, okay? Before I forget, it's going 1.5-inch pool hose to 2-inch, all right? This comes with the blast cabinet. Usually I think people screw it in on the other side over there. It works better this way because what's happening is the heavy media doesn't leave the cabinet. The light media and the air does. So you bring it in, you bring it across your window to clear your viewing area, okay? It's well fluidized coming through the gun by the metering valve. You got a good clean air supply coming in, so you're not clumping it up, right, with moisture. And then it goes up and out. Now, when it goes up and out, I routed it up through there, come around, come down, and I go all the way over here. Excuse all this mess. I got a lot going on. I got enough work for a team of mechanics. And I go out to my vacuum. That thing sucks, literally. It does its job very well. And then inside here, I have a surge protector that I can turn it on and off from, all right? That snap was my bug zapper I got from Amazon. That thing works great. Look at that. If you guys got mosquitoes or flies or anything, that thing works, all right? Now, over here, I added this bleed valve. This is not even glued together, okay? Very simply, if I open this further, or I'm sorry, if I shut this further, I'm pulling more vacuum on the cabinet. You don't want to do that. You want to limit the vacuum. This is almost all the way open, all right? Because the vacuum is pulling on it so hard that it's actually affecting the dynamics of the way the cabinet works in the gun. You don't want to pull too much vacuum. So what I did is out there in the vacuum, I put a HEPA filter in because it's washable and reusable. Definitely a good tip. Don't keep buying the paper filters because it doesn't filter all the dust, and then that's not fair to your neighbors and stuff. If you got neighbors that are close by like I do, you know, it's not fair to them either. So run a HEPA filter. Run it this way, so that way you're keeping most of the stuff in here, only the light stuff leaves, and then you're not overworking the vacuum by adding that bleeder valve. It's a really simple little setup. Take a look at the fittings I used. You know, just that T right there, okay? And this side's male, female, then an adapter, a plug, and then the valve, I just epoxied the valve to the top of it and then wrapped it with electrical tape. Really quick and dirty job, but it works really well, okay? That right there has made a huge improvement, all right? So the gun, the metering valve, the foot pedal, all of it together, add a nice light, okay? And we routed the cord out through a grommet, okay? So we don't have a whole bunch of air leak in here as well, right? That's the idea. I just used this piece of steel with the magnets just to cover this. It's a good idea to drain your media through some screens, sift it. If you're not gonna use it for like a day or two, don't leave it in the cabinet because it'll just get moisture, especially if you wash parts nearby or anything like that, or if you live in a moist environment. It's good to store the media in something sealed, okay? Or you can spread it out on a piece of plywood or something if it's not windy and let it dry out and then put it away, all right? It's gonna work much better if it's dry. And the heavier the media, the less flow of media you're gonna have coming out. Because remember, it's vacuum that has to pull it up through this gun. That's why having excessive vacuum in the cabinet is also gonna affect the way this thing blasts, okay? I can't explain it 100%. If I really sat down here and thought about it for an hour, I could probably explain why the pressure is different, and it's causing you to have, causing you to fight, for media. The vacuum wants the media, the gun wants the media, but there's just this huge negative pressure in here. No good, no good. So add a bleeder, get yourself a good gun, bring the air across your screen and then up and out. The other thing is the screen itself. The plexiglass window that actually it's a glass window that the cabinet comes with. It's got a plastic layer on the inside that you can stick on, okay, when the cabinet is new, but it's pinched in between. There's like a strip of foam on the bottom of this, and then this bezel goes on and squishes the glass against that foam, and that's what seals it. What I did is, because that thing gets all marred up after a while really bad, and if you use just plexi, I can show you what happens right here. Look at that. You can hardly see through that. Look, there's my hand underneath it. All right. So just plexi does not work. I did that for emergency use. Okay. But I went to Lowe's and they have this plain glass. There's the SKU for it. Okay. You don't want to use just this by itself. You should try to get the tear-offs from Harbor Freight, because if this shatters, it can slice your hand. It's a really cheap, thin glass. You might want to go a little thicker than I did. Okay. But I put this as the bottom layer, so it's exposed to the sand, or not the sand, to the blast media. And then on top of that is the layer of plexi, so that it's tough. If I hit my head against it too hard or drop something on it, or I'm working something else and it goes flying, let's say, and it hits this thing, it's not just gonna shatter the glass because it's plexi and then the glass beneath it. So it's tough, so it stands up to a lot more blasting before the glass gets marred up like you saw on the plexi, okay? So that is an improvement that I did as well. Now this video is about to be 17 minutes long. I do want to show this to you guys in action. It's gonna get loud, so turn your volume down 2 clicks, because if you're sitting on the shitter, people are gonna wonder what the heck is this guy watching. So I'm gonna cut the compressors on, okay? They're not gonna turn on just yet. We're gonna bleed a little air out of our separator because we don't have an auto bleeder there yet, right? Then we're gonna come over here and we're gonna turn on the surge protector, and you can hear the vacuum is on. It's doing its job, it's sucking. Like your girlfriend should be doing. Oh, shoot, I shouldn't have said that. Like your significant other should be doing, is what I should say. Anyway, here we go. Let's take a look at this thing in action. So you can see there, we're just kind of cutting away at it. Now, I'm sure with the professional one, you can probably do much better, but I'll tell you what, compared to how this thing started off, this is night and day difference, all right? I mean, it used to take hours to blast anything in here. Now, it takes a few minutes and you got clean parts, okay? Now, here's the other thing. If I get a clog, which I really don't anymore since I started draining my media through the screens. Okay, you see the screen material. All right, the media goes through that and I catch any clumps. But let's say it did clog, I could cover it and I'm gonna overdo it. All right, I'm gonna step on the pedal and I'm gonna overdo it, okay? To show you. There's no clamp on that line, watch. See that? I'm blowing air back through that line. So it'll come up down here in the middle and it will actually clear any clog that you might have. All right, so that's all I have for you guys today. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Sorry about all this extra noise at the end. Oh, before I forget, before we get too long here as well, this gun, okay, and its jet that I showed you guys earlier, that jet right there, came from How To Motorcycle Repair. That guy is a genius. He can also show you how to turn this cabinet into a vapor blaster, which can get you this really luscious finish. If you guys don't know anything about vapor blasting, I highly suggest you look it up. I have a short on my channel where it says parts cleaning process as a title. Check that out. You can see some of these parts that have been vapor blasted if you're interested. Please consider liking, subscribing, leaving a comment. It's YouTube doesn't really pay much, but I enjoy making these videos. I used to be an instructor, and I like helping people. I like sharing what knowledge I do have, and for the most part, I get positive comments. Every once in a while, we get you know, a negative Nancy. Sorry if your name's Nancy. But anyway, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment, and don't hurt yourself. This video is for your entertainment purposes only. Thanks for watching.